Welcome to this video tutorial on how to 3D model terrain from a series of contour lines in Rhino. You can see in my file here I have a series of contour lines in the dark green, and I've also got a light green area which represents my site for this particular model. Now the first thing we need to do when we're 3D modeling terrain from contour lines is we need to make sure our contour lines are vertically spaced to their correct vertical position. Now at the moment you'll see my drawing is completely flat because I originally drew this in AutoCAD and imported it in. So the first thing I need to do is lay out my contour lines vertically. Now these are 1 meter height spaced contour lines, which means I'll need to vertically space them at a 1 meter distance from one another. The way I like to do this is I first select all my contour lines, and if I look down I can see in my selection here I've got 38 curves in this selection, so that tells me there are 38 lines there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy up my site panel, and we're going to copy it up by 38 meters up there, and then I'm going to draw a vertical line connecting these points, and I'm going to divide that line just using the divide command by 38. That will then give me 38 1 meter segments on this line. Then all you have to do, and I mean this can be quite a tedious process, but once you've done it it's kind of correct there, but you have to lay out each of your contour lines to their corresponding point on here. So my first one's obviously going to be flat, and then the next one's going to be 1 meter up. So I select the line, use the move tool, lock it in the vertical position, and then I can just select the line and snap it to the first point. I like to delete the point once I've moved it so I can keep track as well. And I'm just going to go and do that for each point, moving it to the next one up so we can start to lay out our lines like so. And I'm just going to pause the video and do that so it's a bit quicker. So now I've vertically laid out all my contour lines, and you can see if we zoom in here, if I rotate around, you can see these are now correctly leveled at a 1 meter distance from one another, going up from 0 to 38 meters at the top. Now I'm going to delete off this line because I don't need it anymore, it's just my guideline for helping me lay them out. And what we're going to do now is we're going to start to mesh over and create a terrain over the top of these contour lines. To do that I'm going to select all the contour lines, and I'm going to deselect my site reference squares because we don't want those to be within this mesh we're going to make here. And we're going to use the patch tool, so you can find that either in your surfaces menu under patch, or you can type it in your command bar just by typing in the patch command. So, and that's just by typing in the word patch. So select your lines, type in patch, and you'll get this little patch option bar come out. Now the important thing to note with this is this surface U and surface V spans. If I set this to a lower number, and by default it might be 10 or 20, what this means is it's going to kind of create a mesh or a plane surface, and it's going to essentially drape it over the lines we've made here. The lower this number, the kind of lower the accuracy of this surface is that we make. So if I do 10 by 10 and we hit OK, now depending on how many lines you have and how complex your objects are, this might take longer or shorter, but there you go, it's done that quite quickly. But you'll see the surface is gridded up in a 10 by 10 grid, and that grid is then kind of spaced over these lines. Now we are getting it okay, it's kind of forming to the surface I want, but you can see at points it kind of goes over the lines, at some points it goes under the lines at others, so it's not kind of exactly, and you can see here it's not exactly kind of lining up with those lines. If we want it to be more accurate, you just have to increase those surface U and surface V spans to a higher number. You'll see also that at the edges it might do some extreme things like this here, where it's kind of interpolating what it thinks it would do if the contours kept going. That's okay because we're going to trim it down afterwards as well, so don't worry about those edging pieces. So I'm going to delete that one, and let's try it again. But this time let's increase the spans, and I'll do it from the menu this time. So we'll go patch here, and this time we'll do 100 by 100, so it's a lot larger, and this might take a little bit longer to patch out, so let's give it a go. There we go, so that terrain's now built, and you'll see that the grid on the terrain is a lot more dense because we've got 100 by 100 spans. So, and also if I zoom in now, it will much more accurately kind of match up with my lines. You'll see it's not quite kind of perfect in places. The line's still sort of slightly missing at points, but I think for the purpose of this, I think this terrain is going to be more than accurate enough for the job I need it. So I think I'm happy with that terrain piece now. Now, what I'm going to do now is I want to sort of trim my terrain up so it matches my site. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to take this kind of site model piece here, and we're just going to extrude this downwards so it cuts through my object, just ensuring that it perfectly kind of cuts through there. And then I'm just going to use this surface, this box I've made here, just to trim off the excess pieces of site, just using the trim tool and clicking on the edge there to get rid of that. Once that's done, you can delete your box as well. And it might be as well that you want to make this, instead of a surface, you want to make it into a model. So sometimes I also extrude this out. So if we extrude the surface this time, and you may at times, it may not extrude in the direction you want. If you want to change the direction, you can always click this direction bar. We want to extrude it down, so we just make sure the direction goes from the top to the bottom of these two squares here. And what I'll do is I'm going to extrude it kind of using this green line as my kind of base. We'll extrude it beyond that there. And then I want to sort of trim off this excess bit of terrain. So what we could do, the way we could do that is we can just make a rectangular plane, match it up to this one I have here, and then same again, we use the trim command and just trim off the bottom of this base like so. And then you can join this piece with the one that you used to trim this surface, join them together, and there you have, if we can delete the top one now, there we have a kind of poly surface 3D model of our terrain object. So that was a quick tutorial on how you make a simple terrain from a series of contour lines and turn it into a 3D model. And you could then use Boolean tools to kind of cut out pieces of the landscape, or maybe add on pieces of the landscape if you wanted to build it up or subtract it, or you could turn this into a 3D model again. So yeah, thank you for watching the video, and if you want some more videos on texture creation or different Rhino 3D modeling tips, be sure to check them out. Thank you.